Hey there, welcome to Coffee Break Plans. Today I thought I would do a little bit of an introduction of myself and of the channel since it's a new year and all. Now I did start the channel back in May last year and I've been putting out videos once a week. It all kicked off with a bit of a hiss and a roar with me throwing a whole lot of ideas at the wall, seeing what sticks, and I had very little explanation or introduction of who I was or what I was doing here. So I'm Kay McKay, that's not my actual name, but it's close enough and it's what I'm going with. I work full time doing something else and I have a heap of hobbies that I'm always struggling to fit in the time available, and I take on too much both in my personal life and in my work life. This has given me the motivation and the skills to learn to manage my time better, which I do with varying amounts of success using the various tools that I use and show in these videos. So a way to manage not having enough time for all my hobbies is to take on another hobby where I can teach other people to take on too much and organize stuff badly. I don't know, maybe that's what I'm doing here, but basically my idea is to help people organize their time using planning tools. I've always liked stationery and planners and pens and diaries and all of those things. I think I like the fact that it represents the potential to really be organized and to create a whole pile of stuff. That's about the closest I've ever come to describing why I like those things. You will most likely have your own reasons, and I'd be really interested to see those in the comments. But sometimes it's just the absolute satisfaction of seeing a really nicely laid out spread and knowing that you've got your time and tasks sorted for the coming week or month or whatever time frame you're working on. So what I have been doing on this channel is a little bit of goal setting, some reading journals and planner stacks, and some setups. Then I also have what I call the filler content, where I do some topics like favourite notebooks or avoiding planner overwhelm. And I've done a couple of plan with me's and I'm thinking about keeping those going. I like having some standard topics because the repeating nature of them make them a little bit easier to prepare, to film and to edit. I only have a few hours a week to commit to this particular hobby, so the easier that some of the repeating topics can be, the better, and that leaves room for some of the more research and preparation heavy topics. Last year I spent quite a bit of time researching goals, and on that my goal setting and tracking will continue to evolve this year. You're going to have to indulge me for just a little bit longer. I haven't quite settled on a system that works for me, so I'm going to keep adapting it, and you get to come along for the ride. Lucky you. If you're not feeling so lucky about that, feel free to just skip those videos. So what else have I got coming up? I've been aiming for one video a week, and I did achieve that with one exception where I accidentally scheduled a video for the 30th of December instead of the 30th of November. I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to checking to make sure they've gone up, so I've learnt that lesson there. I'm going to keep going with the one per week for as long as I can, but I have a lot on in 2026. The sector I'm working in is up for quite a substantial restructure. I'm also thinking of moving to a different town, and I'm directing a show. So those are three quite substantial things in my life, and it could mean that this drops to the bottom of the pile along with quite a few other hobbies that I have. So if I get myself ahead during the year, like right now, it's the Christmas holidays, it's the 27th of December, and I am going to be filming up a storm in the next couple of weeks to get ahead of my schedule, and so I have a little bit of breathing room. So we'll see how the year goes, but I will still aim to put out some videos, and hopefully you'll still be sticking around to watch them. You'll notice I'll sometimes drink my coffee and I will leave it in the edit because, as my boyfriend pointed out, it's called Coffee Break Plans and you never drink your coffee, so that's why I sometimes deliberately put it in there. I do drink my coffee. It goes right down to the bottom by the time I finish at least 2 videos. So what I'd also thought I'd do today is set out what I call the principles of the channel. I have these in my head and I do work to them, but I thought it might be worth actually writing them down and sharing them with you, and that will help you understand what it is I'm trying to do and whether it suits what you want to watch. And number one is keeping it real. I only show what I actually do in the notebooks and planners that I actually use. I know that some of my content isn't quite what others may want to watch. So the best example of that is my reading journal. Yes, I'm finally going to open these books that have been sitting down here somewhere. So my reading journal is the most decorated of all of my journals, but it is minimalist by many others' standards. So all I do is a to be read, and it's barely a review these days sometimes. I have a very eclectic reading taste. I don't like romantasy that much, and I suspect that the same viewers that read a lot of romantasy are the ones that like to watch a lot of reading journal content. So I think to a lot of the reading crowd, my eclectic collection of books are of little interest to them, and without a lot of decoration or detailed reviews, that they're not really that interested. But that's what I read, and that's what I journal, so that's what I film. And the rest of my planners is very much the same. I'm really minimal and functional. So this is my task and appointments planner. This is for this week, in fact. I'm clearly due to do my finances today. I do them every week. This is probably a bit of an unfair representation because this is the holidays, so I don't have a heck of a lot on. So this is pretty much what you get most weeks. Sometimes it's a little more full. I just write things down and I check them off and I cross them out and I migrate them through. And that's what I do, and I don't bother with much decoration or highlighting unless I really, really think I need it for function. So if you like watching a lot of weekly decorations and weekly setups, you are out of luck. My second principle is to keep it brief. I called this coffee break plans for a reason. It's about being able to watch a whole video during a coffee break, and I started that at 10 minutes as a general idea of how long a coffee break was, but I did find that a little bit difficult to stick to. I could get all my content in 10 minutes, but then I had to strip out every last little piece of my personality that was in the videos to meet that time frame. So I've eased up a little bit and let myself have up to 15 minutes. Every now and again I will let it go a little bit further, but I'm trying to keep to that 15 minutes. Now I know that longer videos will get more viewing hours and therefore you get monetized, etc., but I'm not that interested in doing long chatty videos that most people put on double speed anyway. So my goal is to give you the information, keep it punchy and to the point, and let you get on with your day or with your next video. Now, number 3 is I aim to be helpful, not influential. Now, if I'm talking something up, it's because I use it and I like it. I have no sponsors and no affiliate links. So the best example of that is that I use a Sterling Ink common planner. I was bullet journaling, and for those I was using a standard Lectern 1917 dot grid A5 book. And that was fantastic for a number of years, and you just get pages that look like this. And I was bullet journaling, meaning I was setting up all of my own spreads as I went. But I got to a point where I decided I needed some more structure. I didn't want to be constantly setting up all of my monthlies and weeklies as I went. I was just running out of time. So I looked into the options for notebooks that were going to provide me with the same kind of thing I was doing, but with it already printed out. And what I found was the Sterling Ink Common Planner. This is an A5 vertical layout full year. It has enough structure, so it has a monthly spread already laid out, and at the time I was into weekly vertical layouts with the date at the top and the time stamps down the left hand side of each column. And that was absolutely perfect for me arranging what I was doing in a day. And it also had 300 odd blank pages at the back for what I was using for daily journaling and for anything else that you want to use it for. There's more than enough space here to add in extra spreads that you feel you might need. Now, the reason I chose a Sterling Ink was not because anyone sponsored me to do it. It's because I looked into the products that would suit what I wanted. I first found the Hobonichi Cousin, I think it is, and I looked at that and we got quite excited about that as an option, but I didn't really like the colours and the clutter of that product. I preferred the very, very minimalist style of the Sterling Ink that you see here. I then purchased myself a cheaper, smaller Sterling Ink. It was in 2024, and I used that for a while to make sure I liked the paper. I was a little bit unsure about this very thin Tomo River paper, so I checked to make sure I liked the product before I purchased the more expensive one. And that's how I came to the Sterling Ink. So if I'm saying that this is a great product to use, it's because I love using it and it suits what I need to do. Along the same lines, I like and use the Happy Planner. Now, I saw these planners for years online, and I'll be honest, I thought they looked blimmin' awful and promised I was never going to use one of these. But I realised I quite liked the design and the adaptability and the range of layouts that you get in this planner. So I liked the customization, coloured dividers. You have different layouts. So this is a dashboard layout, for example. You also have your academic layout. So that has your days across the top and your subjects or topics down the side. What I'm using for my work tasks and appointments this year is the horizontal layout. These are just 3 layouts. You can choose a whole pile of them. You can arrange them whatever order you want. You can get other disc type planners. Price including shipping is about right for me though. And as a little footnote, shipping costs always factor in when I'm buying stuff. It's what happens when you live at the very edge of the civilized world. So I liked everything about the Happy Planner. I bought a couple and tried them out, and I have since expanded my collection and what I'm using it for and how I use it. I have plenty of videos on that if you need to watch those. I have been using paper planners for a very, very long time. And I've been doing more intensive planning for about a decade now. So I've tried several products and I know which ones that I trust and which ones suit the way that I plan. So in brief, when I say I really like this product and this is why, it's because I've used it and I've tried it. It's not because I'm getting paid for it. And the last one is for me to simply be myself. So a slightly more positive and a much less sweary version of myself. I am a cynic. I think I was hardwired this way and I've only gotten worse with age. I'm also the youngest child in a potty-mouthed family and I've always been quite sweary. That's going the other way. I tend to tone that down with age, although I will definitely let rip when I feel the need. So while neither of these have a place on the channel, nor am I trying to pretend to be someone I'm not. My planning personality is a minimalist scientist and I'm going to be doing a video on that coming up. I like colour, but not too much or too many on one page. I don't like too many stickers, and in general I just prefer function over form. A lot of my spreads, and I think I just showed you before, they are just black or blue pen on a page and that's it. So if you are someone who loves 50 stickers on a page, people agonising over colour palettes for each week, unicorns farting rainbows, there are hundreds of channels with that type of content on them. This is not the one. And I have to say, I actually quite like watching a lot of those channels myself. I can really appreciate the time and effort that goes into designing and putting together those spreads. I enjoy watching them get put together and I like the end result. But I do confess, in the back of my mind while I'm watching, I'm thinking, what are they going to do if their week turns to shit? Where are they going to write down all the unexpected travel plans, the shopping list, the pickups, the preparation? You can get another page, of course, and write down on it, but then isn't that what your plan is for? To write all that stuff down on? So if my week turned to absolute caca, I have room here to account for that and to add some extra lists and to add the extra events in. And if it gets that bad, I do have a daily page that I can use. So I like having white space, but I think, as I've said before, I don't mind white space. I don't like wasted space. So sometimes I change things up just to account for that. So to sum up, on this channel, I'm going to be who I am and I'm going to show you what I do, what I use and how I use it. I'll continue with the content as I have it right now, but you are more than welcome to put some suggestions in the comments. So I'm going to be doing the plan with me's and my reading journal, and I'll add in all the extras like planner stacks, best and worst, and of course goals, and we'll see how we go. So that's all I have this week. I hope you enjoyed that and I hope you stick around to see what's coming up 2026, and I will see you next week.